Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Caroline Udo, an educationist spanning many years. And this is my program, Intentional Parenting, a way of giving back to my friends, my parents, my colleagues, in ways I can do. And today's topic, let's start share, then we'll look at today's topic. All right, today's topic, let's move to the first slide. Okay, today's topic, we can see I have a very rich topic and slides for us to go through this evening. All right, today's topic is steps to conquering low concentration span in our children, intentional parenting. So you will be looking at causes of low concentration span. We'll also be looking at ways to conquer low concentration span in our children. So the next question that we are going to look at is, what is the meaning of low concentration span or concentration span? Okay, now let's look at that. Attention span or concentration span is the amount of time spent concentrating on a task before becoming distracted. Now, distractibility occurs when attention is uncontrollably diverted to another activity or sensation. So you find out that you have a child whose concentration span or attention span is so small and so limited to the task that child is to do. Now, that child will definitely have problems both in school or at home or anywhere, depending on whatsoever task that's before that child. That concentration won't be there. Okay, I'm going to move to the next slide. Let's look at some pictures. You can see children concentrating there. In fact, the first one, you actually see the second child staring at the board. That's in a classroom. Whereas the first one is already bored and like, I wish this class is all over. So what matters a lot with our children's learning is the fact that they can actually sit down and concentrate. And a child who cannot do that will definitely have issues or problems learning. Okay, now let's look at another picture. That's you, me, and that's concentrate on the board. Sorry, ma'am, please, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. So you found out that I'm concentrating, I'm meant to concentrate. The board is right ahead of me. And I see a butterfly fly by and I'm looking at it. I see another child smiling, I'm looking at that. Any other thing that is going on in the classroom, I'm looking at those things, paying attention to them. Definitely, I am distracted. Definitely, I'm not listening to that the lesson for the day. And definitely, I'm not catching up. So you find out that at the end of the class, some children will actually learn, and while some will not. And you begin to wonder what's going on. Actually, the issue is concentration. That child never did concentrate, and that's why the child never learned. Okay, now you find out that people with a short attention span may have trouble focusing on tasks. And this is not just in the classroom alone. You find that even at home, such children, you might just give them, oh, can you tidy up your room? It might take them the whole day to tidy up their room. They will move from one place to the other. They pick up things. They are easily distracted. They drop it by. You probably might think, this child is so disobedient. No, 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 no. That child might just, not have concentration to finish up that task. So has that problem and difficult. So we need to find out what the problem is and also ways of addressing that problem. So length of time to a task is difficult for that child. So a short attention span can have several negative effects. Now let's look at the negative effects it might have on your child. Number one, poor performance at work or school. that child will be poor in terms of performance at school, at work, at home, any work at all. Number two, inability to complete daily tasks. While other children might, oh, you keep something to them, oh, can you sweep the floor here? The child finishes it up. Fold your clothes, the child can do that. Can you tidy up your books? The child can do. How about your toys? You just finish with your toys, pack them up. Another child will easily, your own child will probably pick one toy. In the process of picking one toy to put it where it should be, it will see so many other things, to be distracted about. So distraction, it's a big, 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 big problem or issue. Now let's look at number three, missing important details or information. That child would definitely not grasp the important information or details because the child is already off, can't even, relate with what is going on around. Easily, looking at things, probably, imagining even things too. Not even the ones they see, they can even imagine distractions. Now let's look at number four, communication difficulties in relationships. That child will find it difficult to relate with their friends, relate with mommy, daddy, relate with anybody. They are even their siblings too. I find it difficult to do that. Then point number five, poor health related to neglect and inability to practice healthy habits. That child will also have. Now let's move to the next slide. So what are we meant to do? We are meant to, focus. We are meant to make that child do what? Pay attention. We are meant to keep it together. Let that child keep it together. And it's all about work. It's all about care. It's all about everybody's hands on deck to try to ensure and make sure, not just ensure, you make sure that your child is actually focusing, is paying attention, and is keeping it together. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. Types of attention. There are different types of attention. You have the sustained attention. This one, you actually hold and maintain attention over a period of time. Necessary for you to do what? Finish up that task. Focus and concentrate and finish it up. Some children are very good with that, especially if you give them anything to solve, anything to do. If they don't finish with what you're giving them to do, they won't move on. In fact, they won't even play or smile with another child. They'll be like, this is okay, let me finish what I have been given to do. Or I have my exams, let me finish it up. Whereas some children, as we're even giving them the script for exams, they know how important exams is. They will still be distracted. Either, drop pencil, pick it up, so many things to this. Now there is another, type of attention, and that is selective attention. This one is paying attention to specific information or input by the brain's ability to do what? Select that information. So just select it. Okay, I love this, so I select the things I love and I pay attention to. There's also attention that is alternating attention. Now the ability to switch or immediately transfer focus from one activity to another is alternative or alternating attention. Okay, I'm doing this, something else comes up. I can actually control my attention to the fact that, oh, I dropped this. Okay, this one needs more attention right now. Let me go to it. I will still come back to this one and finish it. Then there is divided attention. Now, one's ability to focus on two or more things at the same time, that's divided. For example, you're driving and you're holding a conversation with your children in the car, that's divided attention. You're either, cooking and you're taking care of your child, that's divided attention. So children too should be able to manage that kind of attention. Okay, they are doing their work in school, probably copying notes and at the same time listening to the teacher actually explaining that note. That is divided attention. So we need all the types of attention that we can see here to focus and also to maintain a good, healthy living. Now we move to the next slide. Let's look at what attention span a child should have depending on the age. At the age of 2 years, your child should have 4 to 10 minutes attention span. Now let's look at it, parents, because if really your child is not achieving this, there's actually a problem. Or probably your child is doing so well, even more than this, then, oh, praise the Lord, we thank God for that. So at 2 years, 4 to 10 minutes attention span. At 3 years, 6 to 15 minutes attention span. And please, I also want to encourage parents who probably might want their 3-year-old child to probably have 30 minutes attention span. No, 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 no. This is the standard. At least this came up so we can have an idea. Okay, if my 5-year-old is actually having 10 to 15 minutes attention span, you know that, oh, that's okay. My child is within the age, his or her attention span, so I shouldn't be worried. So let's look at this and let's not be worried at all if our child is meeting up or just about meeting up. Now, when it is too low, for example, you have your 7-year-old child probably having just 5 minutes attention span, then you know there's a problem somewhere. Something needs to be done. Is it a medical problem? Is it physical problems? So we're all going to look at all that. Okay, so you have age 5, 10 to 25 minutes attention span, age 6, 12 to 30 minutes attention span, age 7, 14 to 35 minutes attention span, age 8, 16 to 40 minutes attention span, 9 years, 18 to 45 minutes, and 10-year-old, that's probably in year 6, 9 to 10 years in year 6, they should have up to 20 to 50 minutes. So that means your child can definitely walk within an hour, fulfill all their tasks. Then that means having issues in class, classes or our periods, lesson periods are just about 40, 45 minutes. So your child can cope perfectly well. And also with attention span also comes with age, and it also comes with the class. That's why it's also not advisable as an educationist. I will not advise any parents to jump class for their children. I will also not advise you to put your child too early in school, or probably remove the child from year 4. That means grade 4, year 4, and you're pushing that child to write common entrance to go to year 7, missing year 5, missing year 6, or year 5. Probably if that year 5 is up to 10 years, yes. But if not, there's no rush. Don't rush the child, because learning has to do with age, and age has something to do with attention span. You can't force it on the child, except your child is just exceptionally good. Do we understand? Okay. Now I move to next slide. Now, what causes concentration problems in our children? Now, I'm going to look at medical issues now. If your child has any of these medical issues, you know that these ones are to be treated medically. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay, probably while you're treating that child medically, you're also looking at it physically, combining both to do what? To get better results. For example, you have ADHD, that's attention deficit stroke hyperactive activity disorder. So when you have an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in your child, now this is a common disorder usually diagnosed in childhood that often lasts sometimes into adulthood. So you have people with this kind of problem having trouble paying attention and controlling their impulses. So you find out that they can just move from one thing, they move to the other, move to the other. They can't really control themselves or their emotions. So these are those with the ADHD problem. All right. Now there are those that probably have had an accident, head injury or something at one point or the other. So for those kind of children, they might have concentration problems. Thirdly, you might have those children with learning disabilities. Now, what are learning disabilities? Learning disabilities are neurodevelopmental disorders that interfere with basic learning skills, such as reading and calculating. So you already have learning disabilities already, and it's affecting your child's reading, affecting your child's calculating. Definitely, it will affect your child's attention span, definitely. Now, the most common ones are dyslexia, dyscalculia, and dysgraphia. So all these ones are all medical. Then there's another one that is called autism. Autism is a common disorder with children. You just pray that you don't have an autistic child. But when you do, you need to also work on it medically at the same time, physically too. Okay, since we've known the medical problems that can, or causes that can actually affect our children's concentration span, now let's move on and look at the physical ones. All right, lack of sleep or a poor routine. Kind of that, oh, your child is not sleeping too early. Some children do that. Eventually, why you think they've gone to bed, you've actually sent them to bed, you're in your room, that child is probably busy. You know, today technology has a lot of negative effects as well as positive, but to our children, we just need to control them. Just ensure that sleep time is early enough and your child is sleeping properly. We know that the required number of hours a child should sleep in the night is 10 to 12 hours. So that means if your child is waking up by 4 a.m. in the morning, that child should have slept probably by 7, if possible. Come back from school, do homework, and sleeps if you want up to 10 to 12 hours sleep at night. It can actually affect your child's concentration span. The following day, the child is cranky and probably feeling drowsy, and if the concentration is off, the child is not learning. Or poor routine, not having a well-set routine, no set time to sleep, no set time to eat, no set time to wake up. Everything is just left like that. That's poor routine. And when there's poor routine, your child is also, will also pick on it and also pick it up, and that will affect his or her concentration span. Now let's discuss number 2, a diet high in sugar and fat. Now we know that, especially now, we feed our children with junk food. They are high in sugar. And because they are high in sugar, all those drinks they take, all the snacks they take, it affects them. Your child becomes hyper, lacks concentration. Also, feeding diet also does that. So let's watch that. Probably give them more fruits, or pick a day or two out of the week to give them sugar and fat, diets that are high in sugar and fat. Control it a bit. If you do that, you'll be shocked at what you will achieve at the end of the day. Okay, now thirdly, excessive screen time, especially prior to going to bed. So what do we mean by excessive screen time? Screen time is TV or phone or tablet. For me, I want to watch this with tablet, I want to watch this on the phone, I want to watch the TV, and it get glued to it excessively. It will definitely affect their concentration span. Now, number 4, difficulties at home, such as a recent separation of parents or a family trauma. All these things affect children we might not know. The way we behave at home, probably quarrels, lots of problems at home, they affect our children. You might just see them wake up in the morning, daddy good morning, good morning, you might think all is well. They are affected. Let's watch what we do. Presence, what we say, presence is very, very important. Now, number 5, there are lots and lots of distractions around, lots and lots. And that definitely will affect our children. At home, lots of distractions, the technology, or the fact that mommy, daddy not at home. So when they get home, they do anything they want to do until they sleep. And they sleep anytime they want to sleep. All these things affect their concentration span. Another thing is hunger. If your child is hungry, eventually the child probably didn't eat at home. Eat your food. The child says no. What you should do is just pack a little kind of like breakfast, something light for that child, so that when that child gets to school, he or she could probably, eat that before the time for lunch, because lunch time is not in the what will I even say? It's not before classes start. I think I should say that, because lunchtime, yes, is in the morning, between 10 to 11. You have the first break, then the second break too, just between 10 to 12. You have these 2 breaks. But if your child did not eat at home and classes start, those classes I tell you that will go probably 3 classes before the first break, your child might not have learned anything because the concentration of that child is low at that point. Another one is tiredness, and anything could cause tiredness in a child. It could be probably the child is not feeling too well, or like I said, did not sleep well at night, did not sleep early. So many things could cause tiredness. And all these things will, boil down to the fact that your child would have or lack concentration span. Okay, another one and the last one I have here is when children are upset or they are depressed. Lots of things can cause a child to be upset. A lot of things can cause a child to be depressed. Just try to find out what that is, because if you allow it to go on, that child, will not concentrate, will just lack concentration. Goes to school, anything. As long as I'm here, that's okay. Goes back home, not learn anything, cannot even settle down, not even comprehend anything, just goes on like that, easily distracted by things. After a while, it becomes a habit. So we need to nip it at the bud. Is that okay? All right. Now let's move on. Treatment. Okay, no, these ones are medical treatments. Let's look at them. So how do we treat a child with ADHD? You have found that actually therapy, both combination of medication and behavioral, therapy on that child, and your child should get better. The same thing with behavioral therapy. Everything is therapy, medication. So you find out that if your child has those things we talked about, autism, ADHD, several other ones that we talked about, you need to take that child to the hospital. The doctor has to look at that child and probably come up with therapies that will help the child, improve. And when you've done that, we'll move to the next slide, which is the physical, aspect of what we can do, day-to-day things we can do to help our children attention span. Number one, we provide them with a balanced breakfast, balanced diet. Remember what we said about a diet that is high in fat. So you make sure that you balance your breakfast, your meals up. You don't just give the child just anything or high in fat, because they only make the child hyperactive. So let's balance our children's meals, and that will go a long way to helping them. Then number two, let's consider the Feingold diet. What diet is this? This is a diet that eliminates artificial food colors, flavoring, so anything artificial, sweeteners, preservations, anything at all that has to do with artificial, let's eliminate them. Let's go for more natural food. More natural food, vegetables, fruits, more in our children's meals, and that will help them a lot. Number three, let's limit television and video games. We know our children love these things a lot. They can actually go hours on television, video games, on and on and on. You might tell them, come do this. Oh, and they keep flipping through. So you find out that that doesn't help their concentration span at all. Now, another issue is another way of improving your child's attention span is to teach self-talk skills. Self-talk skills. And also find out what interests your child. Find out what your child likes. Let your child be doing those things. For example, house chores. You look around the house, what does your child like doing? Oh, this one loves sweeping or loves washing plates. Give them those things to do. Or loves cleaning the outside, anything the child loves to do. Let that be that child's chore in the house. That's your work you'll be doing, and you love doing it. That child will concentrate, finish it up for you, and be happy doing it. Okay, now another one point or step is promote a strong physical education program in the school. Okay, then enroll your child in a martial arts class. Those are all activities you need to do to help your child. In fact, that will not only develop your child's attention span, will also help your child to be strong and flexible. Okay, now we are still looking at another slide that shows us 7 types of close-ended activities, games, toys to build attention in preschoolers or even in primary, junior school. You can build their attention by introducing them to arts and crafts, cooking. A child that loves cooking, engage that child every time. The child will be focused on ensuring that, oh, I follow the steps to cook well. And if that child continues with that, it builds that habit of concentrating. You have your mazes there, you have puzzles, let your child get used to puzzles, shape, sorters, sort shapes, triangles, pack them to one side, circles, and all that. Then stringing beads. You can actually give your child beads and with a string, but ensure that the beads are big enough. Don't go for small ones that they could put in their mouth, swallow, or in their nose, no, or ear, no. Just give them big ones for them to continue to string. That's another good one. Then visual thinking games, those games that help them to think, help them to sit down and begin to imagine things and think and probably do too. That will help them a lot. Now I added the last slide for us, the adults. How do we increase attention span? We know that attention span doesn't just, we don't just find them in children alone, you also see them in adults. Some adults can't stay doing one thing at a time. Now, what are the ways we can help ourselves as parents too? You can chew gum, drink lots of water, because when you stay hydrated, your body and your mind will think and be healthy. Okay. And another one is exercise. Exercise helps a lot. So let's start. If you don't have an exercise routine, you can start. If you have one, you continue in it. Okay. And to help improve your attention span, consider taking a brisk walk. At times, just leave your house, walk for 30 minutes a day, 4 or 5 times a week. Another form of exercise, just walk around. Know that if you do that, you are increasing your attention span. Keep yourself engaged. Don't just sit down and not do anything. Keep yourself doing something. It helps a lot. I also have found that very, very, very good for me. I keep myself busy. At times, I might just sit down, pick up a book and just start reading, pick up mathematical, problems and just solve. And if that makes me happy, that keeps me going rather than just sit down and you're blank and you don't just have anything to do. It will keep your mind fleeting from one thing to the other. So the best and most important thing for you to do is keep busy. Then lastly, if you struggle to pay attention during meetings or lectures, remember we're talking to adults here, then try asking questions. Just put up your hand, ask questions, or you do what? Take notes. Evidence shows that taking notes by hand, just pick a piece of paper and start taking notes, is more effective in improving attention and listening than using a laptop or other device, which can be distracting. Apart from being distracting, can also make you fall asleep and lose concentration in the meeting or the lectures or what is going on. All right. So I believe we've learned a lot in this class. We've actually learned about how our children, what causes their concentration span to be low. We've seen that concentration span is actually the period of time or the amount of time your child or you yourself spend in doing what? In achieving a purpose or a goal. So you find out that you have a task at hand and you keep distracting, moving from place to place. That is a problem. It shows that you don't have high concentration span, and we need to develop that. So we've seen the causes of that in children. We've seen the solutions. Some are medical, some are not. We've also seen solutions. We've also talked about that of adults, how to keep yourself, concentrating. Okay, so that we come to the end of our class and our lecture for today. Thank you very much, Mrs. Banjo, for joining us. God bless you, ma'am. God bless you. Thank you, parents. And enjoy this as you listen to it. Let this help you too. In Jesus' name. Amen. So I'm going to stop share now. Okay. And I stop recording.